The Buddha saw a need to design a structure or basis for building communities. For those who wanted to dedicate their lives completely to achieving the greatest happiness of full enlightenment, he created the community of monks and nuns, also referred to as the Sangha. For those who wished to remain a part of the world while developing the wholesome qualities that led up to their enlightenment, he created the community of laypersons. Monks and nuns can dedicate all of their time to learning and practicing the teachings of the Buddha. Because the lay community is much larger than the monastic community, the Buddha did not wish for the two to be physically separate. The lay community have a close relationship with the Sangha, often support the monasteries and the temples and the monks who reside there. Some do work in the temples, for instance, cleaning the premises, dusting the Buddhist images, dusting the statues, arranging the flowers, teaching, helping with the celebrations, and so forth. By having regular contact with the monks and nuns, the lay people get to learn the teachings and find the answers to their questions about their practice and Buddhism as a whole. The Buddha gave a very beautiful simile to describe this relationship. Just as a bee goes from flower to flower collecting nectar without damaging them, in the same way, monastics collect small amounts of alms from everyone in the village, not to burden anyone. And as the bee helps the flowers by spreading pollen, the monks and nuns spread the teachings of the Buddha that bring the highest happiness. Now, this same relationship governs the monastery. Here the monks live without collecting a salary, without supporting their families, living only on what is donated to the community by the lay disciples. Because of this, they are free to study and practice the Buddhist teachings full time. And just like in ancient times, the monks share what they know of these teachings freely to anyone with an interest in learning the traditions and the practice of Buddhism. On a practical level, lay people are not obligated to support the Sangha. Support can occur in many ways, including donations of time, labor, or other resources to cover other expenses such as medicine, transportation, mortgage, and utilities. Some lay people choose to pledge a certain amount each month, or they simply offer individual donations to the local monastery. The monks do not accept money themselves. All financial donations are managed by a board of directors made up of, yes, lay people. Sometimes lay people also offer in-kind donations of household items as they feel moved to do so from time to time. By having regular contact with the monks and nuns, the lay people get to learn the teachings and find answers to their questions about the practice. So, as lay people, what can we be doing to structure our moments and days better in order to benefit from our efforts and our understandings? Well, the first thing I like to recommend when starting a dedicated practice is to put aside activities that are not constructive for oneself nor for others. In other words, one has to do a bit of housekeeping in one's life. Everything obviously depends on what goals you set for yourself and your community. The first thing in the morning that I do is dedicate the day to others, and especially to the most helpless and to those who are suffering. We must constantly remember that we are not practicing to pamper our own egos, but in order to become people devoted to loving others and relieving pain in the world as a whole. The second practice I recommend consists in letting things pass 1,000 times a day, letting anxieties, fears, emotions pass like so many bees buzzing around us. Another practice, which is an important one for many people in our society, is to remain centered and struggle against becoming scattered. I try to look at my emails, my text, and make my telephone calls only at certain fixed hours, generally 3 fixed times a day. The rest of the time, I try not to get involved in the phone or the computer. Otherwise, it's a considerable waste of energy and one's attention, and their efforts get scattered all over the place for the rest of the day. And lastly, I set aside some open time that is not spoken for by tasks and obligations. I take this time to have open spaces where I can just breathe, or perhaps respond to unexpected demands, or take a walk for an hour on the trails and in the woods, which I try to do every day in some capacity. I hope this series on Buddhism has helped you understand a bit more about the practice and Buddhism as a whole. The guidelines, the choices, and the lifestyles can be utilized to look within and understand the bigger picture of our world, the days that make it up, and our own intentional actions working within that framework. As the Buddha taught and spoke, the secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn for the past, nor to worry about the future, but to live in the present moment, wisely and earnestly. As always, peace and love, Jim.